Hello, we are here now with Mark De Souza from Sonalasense, which has a very exciting and new and novel cancer therapy. So, Mark, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thanks, Roger. Hi, everybody. I'm Mark De Souza. I'm a biochemist by training and been involved with a number of rare disease treatments that are first in class over the past 20 plus years. Today, I'm going to talk about sonodynamic therapy, which is our new approach to treat cancer non-invasively without any side effects. While that might sound too good to be true, we've actually proven this now in over 30 patients with rare brain tumors. So sonodynamic therapy, or SDT, is a non-invasive drug-device combination. It combines a drug called aminolevulinic acid, or ALA. This is a compound that you and I make every day in our bodies. We make about 300 milligrams of it every day. So it's a nutrient that our bodies need to make something called heme, which is involved in oxygen transport. So all cells need it. Tumor cells take up about 50 times more ALA than normal cells, and they run out of iron, so they're unable to make heme, and they accumulate a compound called protoporphyrin IX. This is a very reactive molecule that can be activated by ultrasound to kill the tumor cell. Normal cells have a well-regulated heme metabolism, so they don't accumulate this compound, and therefore they're not activated by the ultrasound. So this drug-device combination uses an ultrasound device that you see here that we've exclusively licensed from an Israeli company called Insightec that uses an MR machine over here to image the brain, image a brain tumor, and then allows you to guide the ultrasound beam anywhere within the brain and bathe the entire brain tumor with ultrasound. That ultrasound activates the compound that's made by tumors from our drug to kill the tumor cell. And the healthy cells, normal brain tissue in this case, are not affected because they do not make this compound from the drug. So the drug itself is a nutrient that is converted into a smart bomb by ultrasound to only blow up the tumor cells. And we've now proven this mechanism of action in about 30 patients. We've treated them once monthly, many of them now over 5 times over 2 years. And we've shown that we can repeatedly treat patients, keep their tumor at bay without any significant side effects. We've treated even children with brain tumors, and they can go back to school the next day. So that tells you how benign this therapy is in terms of its side effect profile. And there's no way tumors can become resistant to this therapy because they need our drug to grow. So the way this works is that the patient receives an intravenous injection of the drug. They then lie on the MR table that you see here with their head in this helmet that delivers the ultrasound. They get treated. The treatment usually lasts about an hour, and then they get off the MR table and go home. The children are put under general anesthesia because they move too much in the MRI. So this is what the mechanism of action looks like, is that the ultrasound activates the drug that accumulates this pink substance that's made from our drug called ALA, and that blows up the cancer cell. The drug alone doesn't do anything. The ultrasound alone doesn't do anything. So it's truly precision medicine. We've had a number of grants from the federal government, from the National Cancer Institute, the FDA, as well as from patient groups like the Ivy Foundation and patient groups in the rare brain tumor space that have really validated our technology. Very recently, we were awarded a $62 million grant to develop sonodynamic therapy in blood cancers. And that will be announced in the third quarter of this year. This really tells you that we're onto something new, and that's been recognized by peer review and preeminent scientists from the NCI and other government agencies. What I'm going to do now is show you some data of how sonodynamic therapy is changing patients' lives and extending their survival by shrinking their tumors or stabilizing their tumors. And this clinical proof of concept comes from a phase 2 clinical trial in a rare pediatric brain tumor called diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, or DIPG. The pontine, the word pontine refers to a part of the brain called the pons that is between your brain and spinal cord. And the pons is a very eloquent region of the brain. It controls breathing and heart rate and blood pressure and balance. So by definition, it's inoperable. You cannot use surgery to treat this tumor or remove this tumor. It's a very rare disease with about 300 to 400 cases a year in the US and universally fatal. The standard of care is radiation and steroids. You can see in these photos the impact on these kids before radiation and steroids, and on the right after the radiation and steroids. And the puffiness you see here is due to the chronic high-dose steroids. Neil Armstrong's daughter died of DIPG in 1962 or 1963, and the standard of care has not changed since then. So we're really revolutionizing the way DIPG is being treated. We have an ongoing trial at 3 luminary academic sites shown here at the top, and we'll be opening up another 4 sites this year. And the FDA has told us that for us to get to an approval, we need to show a dramatic effect on overall survival. Recall that with just radiation alone, and in this slide, this dashed line down the middle shows that median survival with radiation and temozolomide, which is a chemotherapy, is about 9.5 months. This result comes from a paper that was published on 43 DIPG patients treated with radiation and chemo, and they only survived, median survival was 9.5 months. What we've shown here, and each number here refers to a patient, this shows 14 patients, who were treated once. In the case of the first patient, actually half the pons and the other half of the pons 30 days later. And this child died at 9.5 months, right around median survival. She had a remarkable improvement in her quality of life. Her double vision was restored. Her crooked smile was normalized. She went back to ballet lessons, but she died of metastatic disease. And we learned that you really need to treat this very aggressive brain tumor aggressively. So we're now treating patients once a month. That's what the closed triangles show. And you can see that some patients have lived almost 2 years in this case, 16 months in this case, 19 months in that case, and so on. And patients we've started treating more recently, January of 24 to date, are also starting to survive and cross this median survival threshold compared to radiation and steroids. So we are optimistic that we can keep treating patients and convert this deadly disease to a chronic manageable illness. We don't know how long this treatment will continue, and you can see some patients have died on trial, but many of others have survived with no obvious side effects. So we've clearly stabilized their disease. So our goal is to treat another 4 patients during this phase, and maybe more if FDA asks for that, and then approach the FDA for what's called an accelerated approval. So we see DIPG as being our first approval of sonodynamic therapy. We're on track for an accelerated approval, if the FDA buys into that, in 2026. And with clinical proof of concept in hand with the brain tumor device that you see here on the left, we plan to expand into other brain tumors. And with these 2 different devices we have here, into blood cancers that's been funded by our recently awarded grant. And with this device, which is a MR-free extracranial device that uses diagnostic ultrasound to image solid tumors of the abdomen, the pancreas, the bladder, the kidney, the liver, and so on, we can treat other cancers. So we see DIPG as being the tip of the iceberg, and with positive clinical trial data that we're already starting to see, we want to expand sonodynamic therapy to other cancers with these different devices. Obviously, cancer is a very large market, and the DIPG market is small compared to other solid tumors. But you can see that as we expand, the market grows dramatically. But also, more importantly, we treat many more patients. And our goal is to treat over 500,000 patients a year with this breakthrough therapy. So just to summarize, I think I've shown you that sonodynamic therapy is a revolutionary new way to treat cancer non-invasively without significant side effects. In our DIPG trial, we've shown tumor shrinkage, and in the interest of time, I haven't shown you that. But we have extended survival in these patients. and we are on track for potential accelerated approval in 2026. This is very much a platform, and our grant funding has really validated this technology, and that we can expand it beyond the brain to blood cancers, bladder cancer, and other solid tumors. We have a very experienced leadership team that has developed drug-device combinations to FDA approval. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much.